everyone, this is Joyboy P with another unboxing review. This time on the Gigabyte GTX 970 G1 gaming graphics card. It's a pretty good card. This card isn't for my system, sorry. It's to replace Ri-Fi's R9 295X2 graphics card, as he's having problems with that in his system. But more on that in another video. I'll leave an annotation on the screen for you. So yeah, we've got the Gigabyte logo there and the gaming eye. The G1 gaming part here is in that rainbow reflective silver. There isn't a huge amount of information compared to some other types of boxes on the front of this box. So you've got game streaming, game works, I'm not entirely sure what that is. G-Sync compatibility and DirectX 12 compatibility. Has their new WindForce cooler on it with I think it's 650 watt total heat dissipation, super overclocked, and a flex display. These are all the different types of monitors in which it can support, not all at the same time. You can either run, I think it's DVI-D or DVI-I, sorry, and or 2 display port. So let's flip this box. Now we've got some more information on the back here. Let you pause and read that. It's all information which you can find on the Gigabyte website. So you've got the NVIDIA shield on the bottom there, and the NVIDIA GeForce GTX, which is exactly what this card is. You get more information which you could find easily on their website. Gigabyte this time are calling out their GPU binning process, which is basically they test every graphics chip itself before they stick it on their card, and put the most highest performance ones on their G1 gaming cards. And as you can see, they're calling this their GPU gauntlet sorting. There's more information on their latest WindForce coolers. It does have 4 6mm copper heat pipes inside it, and their triangle cool thing, which basically helps direct the air for you. And it does have an LED WindForce logo on it this time. So yeah, there isn't huge amounts of information on the box. So yeah, so let's flip over once again. Not much on the top of the box. Some basic information for sorting on the side, I should say. Now, just spotting it quickly, it does say 4 gigs. It's actually 3.5 plus 500 megs, with the extra 500 megs being a whole lot slower. So now that we've had a look at the box, we'll get into as usual with Gigabyte's stuff. That box is inside that box is another box, just a matte black box with the gloss G1 gaming on it. Little TM there, but that's about it. Inside that, of course, we have the graphics card itself. Just take it out of this anti-static wrapping. I'll be right back. I'm back. As you may first notice, that the card does look somewhat different to the previous generation WindForce cards. They've got the new fan design, which is supposed to be more efficient. We do have the triangle cool technology for redirecting the airflow out the top and bottom. You see the PCB ends right there, but that cooler just keeps going on to the end of the third fan. So that should help keep your card extra cool. The PCB, the back plate, the print on it this time is the right way around compared to my 780 Ti, which I will be benchmarking this card against. These cards are supposed to be extremely good overclockers. It does have 6 and 8 pin power connectors right there. I've not taken the plastic off it yet. Here we have the WindForce logo, which compared to the 780 Ti and the previous WindForce cards, that piece of metal has been now been bent around and had an LED, like whitish blue LED lights put inside it. Of course, you've got your SLI bridge connectors there. It's a very nice looking card. Look at this side. Here we have a total of 6 display connectors. Normally you'd have 4, but got DVI-I, DVI-D, 1 HDMI and 3 display ports. That's good for triple monitoring, especially the 3 display ports which Wi-Fi will be using. As you can probably see, this DVI is labelled A, the HDMI is labelled B, then you've got one of the display ports labelled C, and this block here is labelled D. You can either use the DVI-I, I believe it, the DVI-I, or the 2 display ports. So you can either use one or the other, and Wi-Fi will be using the 3 display ports, as I said. Just take the cover off. Something else to note, they've actually kept the exact same shape in the phone as they have for the 780 Ti box. Yes, I did get my box to double check it, because this bit on the, you could say on the 780 Ti and the previous Windforce cooler cards, that Windforce logo, you could say, was bent up and stuck out across the top, and this card was made to accommodate that. So we've not actually changed the phone shape. As usual, you get 2 Molex to PCI connectors, 1 8-pin and 1 6-pin. A quick guide and a driver disc. Now I wouldn't recommend using this, just get the drivers from the Gigabyte website, although I should imagine at the moment there shouldn't be too much harm from doing that, as there hasn't been a new operating system out for a while now. Here we have all the covers off and the protective plastic. It's got a lovely brushed aluminium look to it. If my camera will focus on it properly, which I think looks awesome. I ended up going from 780, finding the Windforce cards by finding the 780 on Google Images, and thought, oh, that card looks good, and it was actually a very good card. So, here is a comparison shot here. My GTX 718 Ti GHz edition here, and the 970 G1 Gaming. You see the G1 Gaming is slightly longer than mine, although the PCB on my card is a lot longer. So just a quick, this is what I was talking about before, so just a quick comparison. Right, I'm currently benchmarking the 970 in my system. As you see, it's got a very blue, although this cameras are very good for showing it, it's a very blue LED. A lot of cameras seem to show it as a bluish white, but it is actually very blue. But it's I'm holding the camera about a foot away from it at the moment. You can probably hear Haven running at the moment. As I said, I'm benchmarking it, and I'm holding it about 6 inches away from the card, and you can hear it. It's a very quiet performing card while it's under stress. Now onto the test bench itself. I'm running an i7 4770K from the CPU, 32 gigs of Corsair Dominator Platinum RAM. It's worthwhile mentioning that I have PCIe SSD rather than a regular SSD or hard drive, which is much faster. My Windows 8.1 operating system and software and games are installed on there. I thought it's worth mentioning that NVIDIA has GPU Boost 2.0, which automatically overclocks the graphics cards, and AMD don't quite have that. The benchmarks themselves I've done with 3 resolutions, 3440 by 1440, 2560 by 1440, which is standard 1440, and 1920 by 1080, which is standard for that as well. The benchmarks themselves were done on Unigine Valley, Unigine Heaven, and Thief being the only game which has a built-in benchmarker. Valley and Heaven were done on with an anti-aliasing of 8x and 2x, so there are quite a few test results to go over, so let's have a look at those, shall we? Now moving on to Valley with the 8x, it's at 440 by 1440, which is 21:9 aspect ratio. Keep an eye on that resolution at the top. As expected, the R9295X2 pulls well ahead of the other two, but its lows are very low in comparison. 780 Ti and 970 are fairly close considering their price difference. Onto 2X, you can see that the lows get even lower with the R9295X2, with the other two cards pulling well ahead, which was quite the surprise to me. Again, the other two cards are fairly close in performance, but I did notice that the two NVIDIA cards are far more stable compared to the R9295X2. But for some reason, the R9295X2 at standard 2560 by 1440 resolution, no matter what I tried, I could not get it to go into that resolution with my LG 34UM95 monitor. Don't know why this happened. So there are no benchmark results for this for that card at this resolution. As you can see, the results remain fairly close considering there is a well over £200 price gap between the two of them. Okay, the highs are considerably far apart, but the lows are fairly close, and they're close enough. All the I found stayed well within playable frame rates. Again, with the R9295X2, those lows are really low, and it was very unstable when it comes to the benchmarks. It's constantly up and down. You didn't know what it was doing. It was tearing like hell. Still on value with 2X again. Actually, the R9295's lows actually went below that of the other two, and the 780 Ti actually pulled ahead of it a lot, and the 970 were very close. So the R9295X2 actually isn't very good for 1920 by 1080. Now we're on to Heaven, and this one is a far more heavy hitter when it comes to graphics cards. Again, those lows are very low on the R9295X, so I'm just going to call it the R9 from now on, with the other two cards beating it, and again those two are fairly close, but again 780 Ti keeps pulling well ahead of it. Now at 2X anti-aliasing, the 970 suffered a bit with the lows on this one, although it isn't that bad considering the other two did suffer quite a bit. To me, they stayed within playable frame rates. I find frame rates up to that 35 acceptable, lower than that is unacceptable. Again, with the 2560 by 1440 16 by 9 aspect ratio, the R9295X2 just would not go into that resolution, so again, no results for that one. I think it's just because of the monitor that I have, but I just could not get it to go into that resolution. But again, as we can see with the two NVIDIA cards, the performance is somewhat 15 frames a second out from one another, over 20 on the highs, but again it's not too dissimilar, especially on the averages. Now on to 1080p, we can see some really high results here from the R9295X2. It seemed to not do too bad on Heaven when it comes to this one, but again, though the loads are very low. So yeah, again the NVIDIA cards still stay within around 15 frames a second difference, although my 780 Ti is a fairly good overclocker, and this 970 itself doesn't seem to overclock quite as well as some other people's 970s do. Now we're moving on to Thief. This is our real world benchmark. Thief has mantle support, so I tested with and without mantle. You can see there's a good 10 frames a second difference, 10 frames a second difference, sorry. And you can see with the 970 and 780 Ti, their performances are a lot closer. So I'd love to actually test these again with other real world games. Again, couldn't get it to go into 1440p. With the R9295X2, but again the two cards are very close to one another, and the frame rates are very stable. As you can see, the lows didn't get very low compared to the average, and the highs fairly decent. Now again, you can see with the R9295X2, the lows are really low compared to how low they went with the 780 Ti and 970, especially without mantle. So in a real world scenario, the NVIDIA cards are very equally performing. Right, to conclude my review on the 970 G1 Gaming, It's a very good card, although you've got to be careful with that 3.5 plus 500 megabyte, so 3.5 gigs plus 500 megabytes of the onboard RAM. If you start to go into that 500 megabytes, it can actually really slow down your games. That depends from game to game and the resolution that you're working with. At 1080p, shouldn't worry too much, but if you're going like 1440p resolution, then you might actually suffer quite a bit with that. Although I never suffered personally, it is Wi-Fi's card and he's had quite a few issues with it, especially since he's SLI'd that particular card. Unfortunately, with my current setup, I can't do an SLI benchmark with that card, so it's quite unfortunate. As I was saying, it is compared to the price to performance when it comes to this 780 Ti, it's a very good card. Was it £311 brand new on scans? I think it was. My card was £550 brand new on scans, and now it has been discontinued, so you can pick it up cheaper if you can find it second hand. The R9 295X2, on the other hand, is a very good performing card, especially if you can get it to work properly. Quick word to the wise though, only use that card with a motherboard that supports PCI Express 3.0, not 2.0, and with support with 3.0. That seems to bottleneck the card, and Wi-Fi was having no end of problems with that card and has now sold it on, so I will not be able to do any more benchmarks with that particular card. Its frame rates were constantly up and down whilst testing with it and playing games with it. It never seemed to level out. It was constantly going up, going down, didn't know what it wanted to do with itself. With the comparison of the 970 and 780 Ti, their lows were almost the same as the lows of this R9, which for a card which is supposed to be almost twice as powerful, its lows should have been higher than that. So, price to performance wise, the 970 is a very good card, coming in around 10 frames a second difference on the 780 Ti. Very good if you want a good gaming computer, not too budget, but good power, but want to try and keep price to performance. Definitely gets a good start for that one. And it's a very quiet card. It never got that loud, as you could see in that little shot that I gave you before. So yeah, that just about concludes the review on the 970. If you like this video, please give it a nice thumbs up. Leave any thoughts in the comment section below. This is Joy OP signing out.